When Gene Holley died in July of 2000, his funeral was modest, to say the least. I know, I was there. I sat behind a former Georgia governor and a former U.S. congressman and heard many people say wonderful things about a wonderfully forgotten man. Our Eugene, Gene Holley, was one of Augusta's movers and shakers. 50 years ago, he would have been the one you would have thought would be lying in state at the Capitol, praised by governors and colleagues and publicly mourned by his fellow Georgians. If you had been here back then, you would have known Gene Holley was the man who put the gold in Golden Boy. It was a great story. Born poor in Aiken County, raised by a sister, Holley went on to become a decorated Navy pilot in the Korean War. He came home and got very busy. I'm not sure Augusta had ever seen anything quite like him. He was elected to the Georgia Senate in 1964, and when he retired from politics 12 years later, he was so popular his colleagues voted to make him an honorary senator for life. His political influence was so pervasive in the late 1960s it was joked that he, not Governor Lester Maddox, was running the state. But his largest success was probably in Texas oil. He made a fortune, and then he got into banking. He was also Augusta's biggest booster. He pushed for a new civic center downtown, built a snazzy Broad Street hotel, and took over the old Southern Finance building, today's Lamar building, and put a fancy penthouse on top. For good measure, and to thank the Lord for his good fortune, he put another signature on downtown Augusta's skyline when he topped off that penthouse with a huge lighted cross that could be seen for miles. Gene Holley was also a glamorous host whose dinner parties might include having a helicopter ferry guests to the Carolina coast to enjoy a meal fit for royalty. Then it all abruptly ended. The oil investments ran into problems. He and his partners were indicted for bank fraud. He was convicted and he went to prison. When released, Holley shunned the limelight. His name gradually was forgotten. The cross atop his old penthouse quietly was removed. His family said Holley had spent most of his last 20 years reading his Bible, or Bibles. He wore them out. He consistently declined to be interviewed when newspaper reporters called for those obligatory "Where are they now" stories. He died in July 2000 as quietly as he lived those last decades. His impact and influence during the years of helicopter rides and penthouse crosses has diminished. But if you mention the name Gene Holley to an Augusta old-timer, you might notice his eyes light up and a story come to his lips. I guess you had to be here.